Ferrari didn't miss out on a Miami podium because they were slow. They fumbled it with hesitation right in the heat of the moment. With a big upgrade package coming into the weekend, they had everything lined up to run at the front. No excuses. Charles Leclerc showed exactly that, grabbing the lead at points and locking down a strong podium spot for a good stretch of the race, looking completely in control. Lewis Hamilton, at certain stages, was also moving fast enough to seriously pressure the cars ahead. But then things started getting messy. Hamilton got stuck behind Leclerc and was convinced he had better pace, straight up asking to be let through. The problem? The pit wall went quiet when it mattered most, dragging their feet instead of making a quick call. Lap after lap slipped away with no clear decision, and you could feel the tension building. That's when Hamilton fired off a sharp line on the radio saying, "Have a tea break while you're at it," making it obvious he was not happy with how slow the team was reacting while the chance was still alive. Meanwhile, Leclerc wasn't feeling great about it either. Mixed signals kept coming his way, and his response had that sarcastic edge, showing even from inside the car things felt all over the place. By the time Ferrari finally made a move, the opportunity was already gone. And to make it even more confusing, they switched that decision again later in the race like they couldn't stick to a plan. This wasn't just about one bad call, it was about Ferrari freezing up when the pressure hit hardest. They struggled to read the race in real time, and that hesitation kept stacking up. Sure, Leclerc's late mistake and penalty made the result look worse, no doubt about that. But even before that slip, Ferrari already looked like they didn't have full control of their own race, and that's where the real damage started. So now the big question hits hard. Did Ferrari actually lack the pace for a podium, or did they straight up throw it away by missing the key moments that mattered most? If you want a full breakdown of where Ferrari let this one slip, make sure to subscribe and keep watching. Because once you dig deeper, this race stops looking like a simple pace issue and starts looking like a case of hesitation under pressure. When you break it down to the raw details like track position, stint pace and tyre behavior, Ferrari weren't coming from some weak baseline at all. They were right there in the mix, close enough to strike if they played it smart. And that's the thing. In modern Formula One, being within reach is often all you need, as long as execution is sharp and decisive. The opening phase already showed that split reality. Leclerc running at the front wasn't luck, it was proof the car had real potential in the right conditions. The grip was there, the balance looked solid, and for a moment it felt like Ferrari had everything under control. Miami as a track demands smart energy use, with heavy braking zones that reward clean deployment and recovery. Ferrari weren't the best in that department, but they weren't out of the fight either, not even close. And that detail flips the whole story, because now it's not just about the car falling short, it's about how the team handled what they had. At the same time, Hamilton's race brought even more tension into the picture, adding another layer to an already chaotic situation. Even after early contact messed up his opening laps, Hamilton didn't just fade away. He fought back into a position where his pace actually started to matter again. That recovery says a lot, because it proves Ferrari's overall package had enough strength to stay competitive, even when things didn't go smoothly. But here's the truth. Just being resilient doesn't win races on its own. What it does is create chances. And Miami exposed something Ferrari still struggles with, spotting those chances and acting on them fast enough. The whole Hamilton-Leclerc situation sits right in the middle of this chaos. It wasn't some fixed moment. It kept evolving lap after lap. Hamilton closed the gap, managed his tyres smartly, and got himself into a spot where he clearly felt he had more speed to give. So when he asked to be let through, it wasn't random. It made sense based on what he was feeling in the car. But Ferrari's response? Way too slow. Instead of making a clear, confident call, they hesitated. And that hesitation stretched over multiple laps while everything around them kept changing. And in Formula One, that delay is deadly. Tires start dropping off, The driver ahead adjusts, and any edge you had starts slipping away fast. That small window where a move could have worked, gone just like that. Hamilton's frustration came through loud and clear with, "Have a tea break while you're at it." And it wasn't just about that single moment. It pointed to a bigger pattern that keeps showing up. Ferrari making decisions just a little too late, missing that perfect timing by inches. And in this sport, being just a bit late might as well be completely out of the fight. By the time Ferrari finally told them to swap positions, the whole situation had already changed, and not in their favor. Hamilton didn't have that same edge anymore, and the cars ahead were no longer easy targets. That moment of opportunity, it had already slipped away. Then came the even more confusing move. They reversed the positions again, making it look like Ferrari was still second-guessing instead of fully committing to a plan. From a strategy point of view, this kind of hesitation stacks up fast. Every delayed call makes the next decision even tighter, with less room to react. By the final phase of the race, Ferrari had already boxed themselves in, with barely any real options left to play with. It's like they slowly closed their own window without realizing it. Leclerc's race shows another side of the same problem. Running at the front isn't just about speed, it's about clarity and confidence in what's coming next. A driver needs clean info: how long the tires will last, what the strategy is, and how rivals might respond. When that information gets messy, it starts to mess with everything else. That's exactly what his sarcastic radio response hinted at. The mixed instructions showed there was a gap between what he was feeling on track and what the team was telling him. And it doesn't take a huge gap to cause problems. Even small doubts can throw off braking points, tire management, and overall rhythm. So that late race mistake that dropped him down the order, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It was built up over time, shaped by confusion, pressure, and a lack of clear direction when it mattered most. This all happened in a race that had already started to fall apart for Ferrari, piece by piece. Their strategy didn't feel connected, the communication kept switching up, and the chances to recover were getting smaller every lap. By that point, even the car wasn't in its best shape anymore. Tire wear was kicking in hard, the balance started to shift, and the pressure from behind was closing in fast. And when everything stacks up like that, mistakes become way more likely. On Hamilton's side, his race told a similar story, just in different phases. First, the early damage, then the fight back, and after that, pure frustration with strategy calls. The fact he even got back into a position where team orders were being discussed says a lot about the pace Ferrari actually had under the surface. But turning that moment into real progress, that's where it all fell apart. Ferrari's decision-making style seems built around being careful. They want full confirmation, they run through every scenario, and they try to avoid making the wrong move at all costs. On paper, that sounds smart, because it lowers the risk of a major mistake. But Miami exposed the downside of that mindset in a big way. When the field is tight and every gap is small, waiting too long can hurt more than acting quickly. In races like this, timing is everything, and Ferrari just couldn't hit that timing when it mattered. Because here's the reality. A slightly imperfect decision made at the right moment can still bring results. But the perfect decision that comes too late, that doesn't give you anything. And that's exactly how this race slipped through Ferrari's hands, not because they didn't have the tools, but because they couldn't pull the trigger when the window was wide open. This is exactly where Ferrari keeps coming up short. It's not that they don't understand what's happening in the race, it's that they struggle to act on it at the right time. That gap between knowing and doing is costing them big moments again and again. When you look at the bigger picture, it becomes even clearer. Teams like Mercedes and McLaren are way more willing to make early calls, even when they don't have the full story locked in. They take that risk, accept a bit of uncertainty, and go for track position and momentum. Ferrari, on the other hand, plays it safer, and that cautious style shows up everywhere. not just in team orders, but in pit stops and overall race control too. Miami made that painfully obvious, especially during the pit phase where every second actually mattered. The undercut window was super tight, tyre warm-up had to be perfect, and positions could flip in just one lap. In a situation like that, even a small delay gets magnified instantly, and Ferrari just couldn't grab those moments consistently, which points to something deeper than just one bad call or one messy race. This looks more like a system-wide issue, built into how they operate as a team. It's not random, it's part of their overall approach. And to be fair, that approach can work over a full season, especially when it comes to avoiding major disasters. But there's a trade-off, and it's starting to show. Every missed opportunity adds up, little by little, and creates a gap in the standings that you can't just blame on the car being slow, because the car isn't the main problem here. From a technical side, that upgrade package actually did its job. It pushed the car forward and made it more competitive. You could see it clearly. Ferrari had the ability to lead, to fight, and to stay within striking distance of the front runners. But upgrades alone don't win races. What really matters is how those improvements are used during the race. And right now, Ferrari isn't maximizing what they've built. In Miami, Ferrari had the car, but they didn't put it all together when it counted. The machine gave them a real platform to fight at the front, no question about that. But the execution? That's where everything started to fall apart. And this is the key difference right now. Ferrari isn't being held back by pure pace anymore, they're being held back by how sharp they are during the race. And that kind of problem is way harder to fix. It's not something you can just upgrade overnight. It comes down to processes, communication, and how decisions are made under pressure. It's about the whole system working together without hesitation. You could hear that tension clearly with Hamilton's frustration and Leclerc's sarcastic tone. Two very different reactions, but both pointing at the same issue underneath. There's a growing feeling that when the big moment comes, the team might not react fast enough. And in Formula One, where everything is decided by tiny margins, that lack of confidence hits hard. Miami wasn't just a bad result. It was like a warning sign flashing bright. It exposed the gap between what Ferrari is capable of and what they're actually delivering on track. Because let's be real, building a fast car isn't the main question anymore. They've already shown they can do that. The real question is whether they can run a race weekend cleanly enough to turn those chances into real results again and again. If this pattern keeps repeating, slow decisions, mixed messages, and playing it too safe, then nothing will really change, no matter how many upgrades they bring. More speed won't fix missed timing. More performance won't fix hesitation. So where is the real issue right now? Is it still something in the car, or is it deeper than that? Sitting in how the team runs things from the pit wall when the pressure is on? Let me know what you think. Did Ferrari lose this race because they didn't have the pace, or because they didn't move fast enough when the moment was right? Drop your opinion in the comments below.